that lane this week, and really, like, they stayed hard in that lane. They were super heels during their title match against Pac and Fenix. So it's pretty solidified at this point, and they also came out with Don Callis. They had a promo segment with the rest of Don Callis's crew of Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. So it looks like, I'm not sure what we're calling this faction at this time, but we'll just refer to it as the Elite for now. Looks like the Elite is complete.
And the Elite is for life?
I guess. I don't know. We'll see how this goes.
Or until storylines change, because like Hangman at one time was Elite and now he's not.
Yeah, I don't know who was ever officially part of the Elite. Obviously, Kenny and the Bucks were always considered the actual Elite. There were some alliances with said Elite, that being, well, eventually Cody during the minor civil war within Bullet Club prior to them all leaving New Japan. Eventually with Cody aligning himself with the Elite. Same with Hangman. But I don't know if they were ever officially part of the Elite, just aligned with them. I don't know.
Nor I'm curious what the Wikipedia has to say. Not that Wikipedia is the be-all, end-all, but, you know, like, Wikipedia and probably Pro Wrestling Tees would be, like, two sources to go to of, like, whose T-shirts are listed under the Elite on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah, I don't know. But overall, I thought this was a solid show. It's the first show that they are unopposed on their original night. Well, it's not the first time. I think there was another time. But as the new landscape has arisen how it is, NXT has moved to Tuesdays, so they will be there for the foreseeable future. So NXT gets Tuesday by themselves, AEW gets Wednesday by themselves, and it seemed like, I don't know if it was just coincidence or what, but I felt like this show was well paced. It was allowed to breathe in spots. It didn't feel like they were rushing through the show, but the show flew by.
Yeah. And I just looked, and Wikipedia does list Marty Scurll, Cody Rhodes, and Adam Page as former members of the Elite.
All right. So I guess that's what they're going with.
The wrestler-owned store on Pro Wrestling Tees for the Elite is the official merchandise of the Elite and being the Elite. So it's got Dark Order and a few others because of being the Elite.
Being everywhere.
Yes.
So did you agree that the show seemed well paced and had room to breathe, and it just flew by?
Yes, although towards the end there were, I'd say, really one segment that seemed a little hurried, but also weird at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That being the Christian Cage.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Team Taz segment.
Yeah.
Because weren't we told Christian Cage would be in action?
That is what I thought, though it did say open contract, so.
Right, and technically, like, there was a scuffle, so maybe that was the action they were speaking of. But, you know, normally when they say so-and-so will be in action, they're talking about having a match, not just being in a scuffle.
Yeah. It was, well, it was, he has an open contract, so I guess they were assuming somebody was going to answer the contract and not just come out and do what happened.
Yeah.
But I guess we can talk about that a little further when that segment comes along. So let's set it up here. You are listening and watching the That's Wrestling podcast. We are live on Twitch and YouTube. So if you subscribe to either of those channels, the links are down in the show notes if you have this as a podcast. We do all of our shows live over on those two platforms, so pick your platform of choice. Join us in the chat, as Davis has done with us tonight so far. And comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to Eric at thatswrestling.com. You can snag the RSS feed at thatswrestling.com as well. Follow us on Twitter at thatswrestling1 with the number 1 at the end. And there's a Discord. You can come hang out with us as well. Head to your favorite podcast app of choice. Give us a review. And if you're watching the video live or on playback, hit that like button and all that fun stuff. So with me tonight, I have back, because Caleb still doesn't have internet at his new house, and it sounds like we have fixed his internet from last week. Darryl W. Perry is back with me again. How are you doing?
Doing well, and I am plugged in to an Ethernet cable. Well, not me physically, my computer. So that seems to be fixing the problems, is just using Ethernet instead of Wi-Fi.
It usually does. That's what I find. I hardwire everything I can possibly do because Wi-Fi is just not good, especially for real-time transmissions like this.
Yeah. Well, we're paying for gigabit internet service, so you would think that Wi-Fi, when I run a speed test and it shows 200 down and like 30 up, you'd think that would be good enough, but apparently, no.
Yeah, it's that ping, and I think they call it now the jitter. That's the number you need for the live.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so this show kicked off right out of the gates, straight into a Bucks video promo package. They just want to explain what they did last week. Matt basically cuts the entire promo except for Nick for the first sentence. Matt says they chose friendship. Matt thanks Jon Moxley for pushing them over the edge. He still says that the best damn tag team in the world, and we just felt the same. We just haven't felt the same since coming to AEW. We took the big payday, and we got a little complacent, but we are content no longer. It's time to bring back the Young Bucks to a better version of ourselves. Heel all the way here.
Yeah, definitely seems it. And yeah, as I saw a headline elsewhere, I forget where it was, no more Disney version of the Young Bucks. And we saw that in their ring gear when they came out. As was mentioned on commentary, no more tassels.
Yep, all the tassels are gone. Though they are still wearing bell bottoms, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
After the opening credits, we have a quick video. It's Mike Tyson and MJF. Mike Tyson was addressing that he was going to be the special guest enforcer for the match with Jericho and Dax Hardwood. MJF cuts in. He's trying to curry favor with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson says, it sounds like you want to cheat. And MJF's like, no. Of course, he also insults Tyson a few times, saying that he was too young to remember his career. But my dad said you were a big deal back in the day. He says, I just don't want you to do something you would regret. But, regrets are all over your face, which referring to the tattoo on his face. MJF tries to buy him off by giving him a blank check. Tyson tears up the check, chews on it, and spits it at MJF. And MJF says, I'm going to remember that, and then walks off.
Yeah, and I'm just glad, and without telegraphing, anything later, I'm glad that they didn't redo the Mike Tyson Attitude Era thing where he, quote unquote, aligns himself with one side. Remember when he was the ref of, was it Stone Cold versus HBK or Triple H one back in the 90s, and he came out wearing one guy's shirt and then, knocked that guy out and ripped it off, and he's wearing the other guy's shirt. So it's like, oh, he turned. It's a, like double turn sort of whatever. I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yes.
And just had him like rip up the check and chew on it and spit it right in MJF's face.
It came up a little short and hit him around the
back. Yeah.
All right, so we move on into the first match of the evening, and just to point out, the entrances started less than 5 minutes into the show, so I was glad they started off with 2 promos, but still got to the entrances for the first match within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is Pac and Rey Fenix versus the Young Bucks, so they kick it off with the AEW Tag Team Championship match. I really like when they do this because all championship matches, except for the TNT Championship, are 60-minute time limit. And I hate when they start a 60-minute time limit match with 25 minutes left to go in the show.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that bugs me. So I'm glad they did it this way, because they put the TNT Championship at the end of the show, which is normally a 20-minute time limit, or if it's at the end of the show, TV time remaining. So it's treated like a TV match or a TV title.
But on that TNT title, I looked and there were 22 minutes.
Yes.
From the when they started the match, there was 22 minutes. So, you could pretty much expect that to go all, basically to the end of the show.
Yeah, and it was announced. It was not announced as 20 minutes or TV time. It was announced as TV time remaining. So,
yeah.
But that's usually how they do that. They either do a 20-minute or they do a TV time remaining limit. On the TNT Championship.
A lot of times on the TNT title, when it closes the show, it's like there's 12 minutes left.
Right. Anyways, the AEW Tag Team Championship match, the Bucks come out of the left-hand tunnel, commonly referred to as the heel tunnel. Don Callis comes out with them. He goes to commentary. They are wearing white pants now. They're bell-bottom pants, so no more danglies, but Matt had danglies on his headband. He had dangling jewels. It was very Flapper Girl.
Yeah, the headband was weird. I didn't understand that. And they made a point of showing the bottom of the shoe that said Dior.
Yes, they're
and it was like Nikes. A custom pair of Nikes.
Yeah. So both of them have the Dior Nikes on. So yes, different look for them, different attitude, really kind of egotistical attitude, I would say, and just even giving their attire and what they did during the match as well. Pac.
Yeah, and I really wish that with them wearing, white attire, really wish that they would have worn those Super Kick Party tag belts that they used to wear back in New Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be interesting if they brought those back. I'm curious if we'll see them if their reign continues. Pac and Matt started off, just some chain wrestling from them. Matt then...
Just a quick question before we get too far into this. Why, with Death Triangle being a 3-man team, and I know that Pac and Fenix are the ones that won the Battle Royal thing, but why does Penta not come to the ring with them?
That is a good question. I don't know.
I didn't know if they ever explained that on something, and I just missed it.
Or they explained on this show that Penta wasn't there for some reason.
I don't recall them saying that Penta wasn't there, right, but
that could be an excuse that maybe they didn't use. But it wouldn't be an actual excuse because he was there, because this is a tape show and was there last week, which was a live show, which means he was there on Wednesday. So most likely he was there on Thursday when they taped this show.
Yeah.
But that is besides the point. But yes, he was not out there. Though nobody else was out there for the Young Bucks, just Don Callis went to commentary. So I guess it's okay because they didn't have opposing seconds. Matt and Pac started off just some chain wrestling, and then Matt backs into the corner expecting a tag, but he backed into the wrong corner, and he takes a second for him to realize that he is backed up to Fenix, and he books it across the ring to the other corner to tag in Nick.
And I loved how commentary played this up. Mm-hmm. He's relying on instinct backing into this corner, but they're in the opposite corner now.
Right.
So it's almost as if not only do they have heel and face entrances, they've got heel and face corners in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something I never made that second connection.
Right. That if you come out of the right-hand tunnel, you go to the far left corner, so a screen back and left, or front right for the people who come out of the left-hand tunnel. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I had never made that connection before.
So Fenix gets tagged in with Nick. Fenix gets the upper hand for a while. Matt tagged in. Death Triangle beats up Matt for quite a while. Nick gets a fun hot tag. Bucks showing off their Dior shoes. Lots of arrogant posing from the Bucks throughout this match. Lots of hit a move and then kind of strut around a little bit. Pac gets a hot tag at one point. He runs wild, gets a near fall on Matt. Nick pulls Pac out of the ring and the Bucks double team him on the floor. Fenix comes over but doesn't end up helping as the Bucks hit both of them with apron bombs at the same time. Bucks get the heat on Pac for a while with plenty of underhanded tactics, just assisting from the apron and all that fun stuff. Matt does plenty of mocking as well. We get a double tag, so Nick and Fenix back in as the legal men once again. Fenix takes out both of the Bucks. Top rope Rana to Nick with an assist from Matt. Fenix hits a double cutter on both of the guys, a rolling cutter on both of the guys, wheelbarrow double stomp to the back of the head, then a super kick, and then Fenix does the good old run across the top rope kick, and Pac to help Pac, he does a dive to Nick on the outside. Pac hits a German suplex with a bridge for a 2 count. Then we have the breakdown of the match. Everybody hits somebody with something, and ending with Nick reversing a rebound powerbomb into a destroyer. Pac and Matt are slow to get up, but when they do, they start throwing hands. And then Nick and Fenix are pulled out of the ring by their opposing sides, and both get hit with poison ranas on the floor. Nick and Fenix hit poison ranas on their counterparts on the floor. Then Nick and Fenix wipe each other out on the floor. Fenix throws Matt back into the ring as he's the legal man at this point. Pac is the other legal man. He gets in on his own. And then we have Pac hitting Matt with a superplex. Fenix follows up with a frog splash for a 2 count. So Pac goes up, hits a black arrow right across Matt's head. Fenix is in the ring for the block of Nick, but Nick just gets enough behind him and pushes Fenix and himself into the pin to break up that pin at 2. And then Nick drags...
I would say that that's probably the closest of the near falls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one that, like, it's going to get broken up. You're just curious, how are they going to do it? Because you can see that Fenix is there, to make the block.
Right, exactly. They almost had me there too, because I thought Fenix was going to successfully block him for a minute.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. Nick drags Matt's lifeless body to the corner so he can tag himself in. Nick fights with Pac, gives Pac a low blow with the ref didn't notice, right as Fenix tags himself in. So he's actually the legal man. He goes up top, jumps off the top rope. Nick hits him with a super kick, and then he pulls off Fenix's mask, and Fenix is covering his face with his hands. Both Bucks get in. Double super kick to Fenix, who is basically blinded at this time because he's just covering his face, and gets the pin. So very heelish. And Nick hitting a low blow and pulling off Fenix's mask to get the victory here.
And Excalibur made the point of saying, if this was Mexico,
or Japan,
that would be... Well, he didn't say Japan. He said if this was Mexico, that would be a disqualification.
Yeah.
But that's not the rules here.
Nope. Not in
AEW. Also, that's a point of shame and humiliation in Mexico, as I understand it.
Yeah, so this is... I can remember at least 3, but I believe this is the 4th time one of the Lucha Bros have had a mask pulled off by a Young Buck. Because Penta got his mask pulled off in their ladder match. And then Fenix has had his mask pulled off on Dynamite before, and then it was pulled off here. And I'm pretty sure the Bucks have pulled off Penta's mask on an indie show as well.
And don't forget, there was the Penta Fenix match where, and I realized that, a Young Buck was not involved there and the mask didn't fully come off, but the masks were definitely ripped.
Yes.
In that match.
With Penta
where
versus Fenix.
Yeah, where you could see, large chunks of each guy's face.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I know what both of them look like without the mask at this point.
Yeah.
But this was a banging opener. Really good wrestling, really fun spots. I like the mirrored spots. Those are always fun when I see the mirrored spots. One, the Young Bucks hitting the double apron bombs, but then Death Triangle and Bucks just alternating. One of them each ends up eating a Poison Rana at the same time. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and then right after the Poison Rana spot, there was something, I don't remember exactly how it happened, because it was just super fast, but Fenix got thrown over a barricade and then came back and did something crazy to one of the Bucks.
Yeah, it was
like I said, I forget exactly but it was just, literally action too fast to call.
Yeah, I like that. Some people hate that spot when Fenix does that, but I love he takes a huge move and just has enough of a burst of energy to hit something back before he collapses. It's a delayed impact basically to him. I love that spot, but some people I know hate it. I don't know why. I love it.
I also love the way he sells a destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
Where he, bounces from his head and normally, lands on his feet and does something before falling over.
Yep.
This time he just, landed on his feet and then straight to his ass and fell over.
Yep.
But yeah, that what would you call it? A reversal of a rebound power bomb.
Yep.
That's definitely a way of setting up the Destroyer that I don't recall having ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Next up, we had Alex Marvez is back in the Dark Order's bar area. Hangman is hanging out with him, drinking, of course, and Alex Marvez is asking Hangman what he thinks about the Bucks reuniting with Kenny and the Good Brothers. Hangman dodges the question, and he directs attention to John Silver's rehab is going good. Looks like he'll be out another 4 to 6 weeks with some vitamins, some prayers, and some egg rolls. In fact, I'm gonna go get some egg rolls right now. You all want some? And he walks off.
Not just egg rolls. Southwest egg rolls.
Southwest egg rolls.
Which is
he walks off.
Basically burrito. Don't forget he also slapped John Silver on the shoulder, and John Silver says, "Ow, my shoulder."
And it was the wrong one.
It's hurt. Yeah, but now this one hurts too.
John Silver is great. I love him. He's fun.
Yeah. And of course Marvez, but you didn't even answer the question.
Right. I love when Marvez just gets like frustrated about this stuff. Actually, he started cracking up in a segment on this show, but I forget what segment it was. He only had 2 more segments, so it must have been the next one with Jericho. Jericho must have said something funny that made him crack. Because they go to commercial. When they come back, Alex is talking to Jericho, and the Inner Circle's with him. Mike Tyson is there as well. He's just asking how this all happened. Jericho basically is saying that since they've been beaten down, he's realized all the wronged. He's realized that they had a lot of people that they had wronged, and he has been apologizing to various people, and the first person he called up to apologize to was Mike Tyson, and also to see if he would have the Inner Circles back just in case the Pinnacle tried to do something.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. That is what he cracked at. Yeah, Jericho says, last week the pineapple, and then I believe it was Santana who leaned in, and without even like breaking stride, Jericho's like, the Pinnacle. And that is where Alex Marvez cracked on that one.
Yeah. I love when Jericho pronounces things wrong or calls things by the wrong name. Like he honestly doesn't know any different. Yeah.
Yes. Those are always
good. The pineapple, my jerk off friend.
Yeah, he's got his comedy is hilarious because it's so subtle, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah.
Right. Next up, well, actually, let's talk about this real quick. I like that in the babyface turn, the babyface is acknowledging that they have done some wrongs, and they're working on trying to rectify those.
Yeah, which is something that you don't normally see.
That is very rare.
It's normally just, oh yeah, I'm a good guy now.
Right, and that why would that clear up alignment with other people that you've screwed? Like, at least in this, now if some other baby faces might help Jericho at some point down the road that he has done something to in the past, now we at least have a little story point to point to that he has gone around apologizing to people.
Yeah, and I've also noticed, and I forget exactly what it is, but Jericho has altered his appearance just ever so slightly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has. He's grown out the short beard. That's usually one thing. That's one thing he usually does. If he's a babyface, he has facial hair. If he is a heel, he shaves. He's clean shaven.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
That happens quite often with him. All right, we move on. We have Red Velvet versus Jade Cargill. This match has had quite a lot of weeks of build, though the build has been pretty lackluster. And I have listened to probably 3 other podcasts about this show already today. All of them raved about this match and said it was pretty good. I thought this match was god-awful.
It's not the worst match I've ever seen.
No, but it was not good.
I also didn't say that.
Right.
It was the worst thing on this episode of Dynamite, and probably the worst thing that I can remember for a while.
I will agree to that because it was not good. This match started off, Red Velvet attacked Jade right away as she's getting into the ring. She's punching her in the corner, and then Jade hits a pump kick on Velvet. And then Jade is like no selling anything that just happened. Red Velvet comes.
Jade was also no selling the punches in the corner.
Yeah, she was no selling a lot of stuff, and that got on my nerves. Velvet,
but she finally took a bump.
She did. She did take a few bumps. Velvet hit a pretty bad looking shotgun drop kick. She barely got 1 foot on Jade. She hit a roundhouse back kick that looked like that was actually pretty good. She dives onto Jade on the outside. Jade throws Red Velvet into the barricade and then does a fall away slant. Well, I guess we'll call this a fall away throw into the crowd. For some reason, the crowd catching Red Velvet hurt Red Velvet. It's like she didn't even go anywhere and she was completely protected and caught by the crowd. And she's like acting like she landed on the concrete. So that really, I'm like, I don't get that one.
Yeah, and Jade fell into the barricade while performing that move. Mm-hmm. So, like, I would have thought it would have tweaked her back a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I would think too. Anyways, back in the ring, Jade hits a delayed vertical suplex. And then this is where I wrote, this match sucks. It's actually super boring. They get the heat on Red Velvet through the commercial. And I wrote, God, why is this match going through a commercial? They must have cut
it went through a commercial for some reason.
Yeah, they must have cut a piece out of this match because they ended the picture-in-picture early, so it didn't go through the entire break. When they come back from commercial, Red Velvet is hitting a flying kick. So it's like, okay, did something happen here? She's in the, like, just about starting her kick when they come back from commercial, hits the flying kick, and then dodges a spear from Jade, and Jade posts herself. Red hits a clothesline, facebuster, standing moonsault, only gets a 2 count. She goes up top. She goes for a moonsault. Jade was slow to roll out of the way, and Red did hit Jade's back with her face and hands, but they basically played it like she completely missed the moonsault. And then Jade just hits Jaded and gets the victory. And then she stands up, poses like she just was not in a fight.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think that, you know, hitting your face off of your opponent's back on a moonsault would wind up hurting a little bit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, commentary is just like, oh, Jade got out of the way on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dangerously did not get out of the way, because that's like whiplash back when you're not expecting. Because she was on her hands and knees too, so it's not like she was flat on the mat. So it's not like a 8-inch, or I don't know how, let's say 10-inch difference between hitting the mat and her back. No, she was arched up, so it's like she hit her face like 2 feet before she was expecting to hit anything.
Yeah.
So this was a rough match. Other commentators have said this was a decent to good match. I would not go anywhere near that as a classification for this match.
I guess you could say decent to good for a Jade Cargill match. But then again, she's only had 4 of them, and I'm not really sure what scale we're using here.
Yes, she needs to sell more and continue selling when the match is over.
Yeah, like at least hold your ribs or something, because on the spot where she ran her shoulder into the ring post, it looked like she, was just leaning over the second turnbuckle.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look like she hit her shoulder on anything, and like may have just hit her stomach on a turnbuckle.
Yeah, I mean, just look at like any other match. You'll see like as soon as like the ref lets go of the person's hand when they're holding it up as the winner, they'll wince and grab their ribs. They'll wince and grab their shoulder. They'll just wince in general. And grab some part that had been being worked or took some sort of damage, put their hand on their back or something. Nothing from Jade, and that's not the first time that she's done this. Especially out of the match she had with Shaq. She no-sold that ending. Oh, and then also she didn't check on Shaq.
Yeah. One thing that I will say is Jade does have a really good physique.
That's about all you can say.
She's not a good wrestler. She's better than I would be if I went in there, but that's not a very high bar.
All right. So next up, there is a quick video promo with Britt Baker recorded earlier in the day. Tony Schiavone is there, and on the wall, she has the women's rankings up. She says, well, I have some updates with the rankings. Mentioned that she should be moved up from number 2 since Red Velvet just lost, and now Britt Baker has 2 more wins than Red Velvet with the same number of losses, and she should be number 2, and then she pimps out that she'll be on Elevation on Monday. So 2 weeks in a row, Britt Baker is pimping Elevation.
So they're pimping Elevation, still not really mentioning Dark.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening on Dark these days. I scrolled through the first half of Elevation and never got back to the rest of it. I watched the Orange Cassidy match, and that was about it. That's all I watched from Evolution last week. It was 2 hours and 27 minutes.
Holy fork.
Yeah. So if you guys can whittle down Dark Elevation to a 1-hour show, then I will watch it every week, like Dark was pre-pandemic. But until then, I am not watching it. I just can't. It's just too much. Next up, we have Anthony Ogogo against, I couldn't figure out who it was until you told me in the comments. It was Cole Carter. I thought they were saying Pole or Paul. I couldn't figure it out. It's Cole Carter, I guess. This match went like 20 seconds. They did a lockup, and then Ogogo punched the dude in the body, and the ref called off the match before the dude even hit the floor.
That was right as his knees were hitting the mat.
Yeah, it was a little premature.
Yeah.
This is like that Ronda Rousey fight that ended the same way. I think she kicked I forgot who she was fighting, kicked whoever in the stomach. They winced and went to their knee, and the ref like stopped it. Little premature.
Yeah.
Like, at least ask the dude if he wants to continue, or have him waving off the ref, or signifying that he's done. But the ref just unilaterally, just because the dude took a shot to the body, every single match on the planet would be ended if the ref ended the match because the dude was hurt or looked like he was hurt.
Or took a punch to the gut.
Right. Yeah.
Because how many times does somebody jump off the top rope, whoever their opponent is steps out of the way and like hits them with a double axe
gets
to
their
the
knees
gut.
up, gets their knees up, and they're They look like they're dying.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Anytime RVD hits a frog splash, he'd pop up grabbing his stomach before he went for the cover.
But like there's the standard thing of somebody is standing, they step out of the way and hit the guy in the gut, sort of, like almost a clothesline sort of move with both hands. Mm-hmm. The dude that's coming off the top rope just like then does a flip and they grab their gut.
Yep.
Like that would end matches. But I think what they're really going for here is like, hyping up Ogogo's boxing skills of, oh wow, he just knocked this guy out.
Yeah, that's
and he didn't even have to punch him in the face.
It's what they're going for. It was just poorly executed in the end.
Yeah. Like at least when Paul White as Big Show had the knockout punch,
which is an illegal move, hilariously.
True. But at least he was punching people in the face.
Right. And then covering them afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ref didn't just call off the match. All right. Next up was a Miro video. He's asking, "Hey Kip, where you been? I've been looking for you. You ran off so fast after Arcade Anarchy. I haven't seen you since. I'm trying to talk to you." And then Miro says, "But you know what? I hate wasting my time, and I'm moving on with or without you to fulfill my destiny to become champion. If you work for this company and you have gold around your waist, I suggest that you pull a Kip Sabian as well and disappear before I find you too." Yay, Miro in this promo. Please give me more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad that Miro is splitting from Kip. And, like you still want to be like, fun video game guy. Okay, but also be a badass and beat the dog snot out of people.
Mm-hmm. So, it looks like we are turning for the better.
Yes.
All right. Then we move on to Dax Harwood versus Chris Jericho. They are both allowed 1 second apiece. And Cash Wheeler comes out with Dax. Sammy Guevara is the second for Chris Jericho. Mike Tyson is out there as the special enforcer. He was actually a fair enforcer and stayed on the outside the whole time. They go straight into a hockey fight between the two of them. On the outside, Jericho grabs a chair. Tyson takes it away from him. Dax grabs Floyd the Bat, and Tyson takes that away from him. They brawl into the front row on the outside of the barricade. They brawl back into the ring, back out of the ring. By the timekeeper's table, Dax hits Jericho with a microphone. Jericho hits Dax in the forehead with a pen in his fist. But he didn't cut him open, which was kind of fun. Like, if you stab somebody with a pen, there's going to be blood, so it's kind of a spot you shouldn't do unless there's actually going to be blood. But,
Yeah. Or, it could just be that he didn't hit him right.
Yeah. Dax beats on...
You're like, oh, shit, I had it turned around, I hit you with the dull end.
Yeah. But he did. He definitely hit him. He definitely hit him with the nib. Or at least that was the point I was facing that way. Dax,
okay. I didn't notice that.
Dax beats on Jericho for a while. Jericho makes a comeback, hits a bulldog, lion salt for 2. Cash looked like he wanted to come in to break it up. He actually partially got into the ring over on the stage side. Jericho and Hardwood throw forearms. Jericho then drops Dax with a lariat. Dax hits a rebound powerbomb. So somebody hit the rebound powerbomb in this show. Jericho gets on the walls of Jericho on Dax, and this was such a botch. It was horrible. He got the walls on Dax in the center of the ring when he was supposed to be at the edge of the ring. So he is walking stupidly towards Cash's side of the ring so Cash can get up on the apron and attack him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that was I don't know. It's Jericho. I have no idea why he didn't just turn, like, he already had him in the walls. All he had to do is kind of like jimmy himself so he was facing the opposite direction, so then Dax could crawl towards Cash. That would have made the most sense. But for some reason, like, Jericho completely lost his mind on what he was doing and walked toward Cash. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So anyways, Cash does attack Jericho from the apron. Tyson was going to address the situation when Sammy flies in and attacks Cash. Tyson lets that happen. He leaves the two of them to sort it out on their own. Then the Pinnacle come out up on the stage, and when that happens, the Inner Circle come out from the other side. They're all fighting up on the stage. Cash grabs the bat and gets up onto the apron, and Tyson stares him down. Cash gets down off the apron, and then Tyson just punches out Cash. Sammy jumps up on the apron quickly to distract Dax, so Jericho could do a backdrop out of a pile driver setup, and then Jericho hits the Judas effect and gets the win. A little overbooking here at the end of it here.
Yeah, and especially considering the ending, or actually the last 2/3 of another match, which I knew was going to wind up having two factions come out and do a big, huge, giant brawl.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done this a lot differently. And I also am not really a fan of special enforcers unless you have them as the special guest referee.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm fine either way. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but like having an enforcer outside that just sort of like staves off, I know somebody's going to interfere, and then they always, wind up getting involved, even though in this case it didn't wind up, impacting the outcome. Like,
this is probably,
you knew that Tyson was going to punch somebody.
This is probably one of the most fair enforcers I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he treated everybody the same.
This was definitely one of the better uses of a special enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
Just, as sort of a general thing, I'm not really a fan of the special outside enforcer.
And then post-match,
and then the finish of the match was just a big giant cluster.
Yeah, with everybody coming out. I liked how this distraction, I did not mind Sammy's distraction on how it worked, because Dax had Jericho he was just about to pick Jericho up for the pile driver. So Sammy jumped up onto the ring. Dax quickly looked at him, because, you see something coming out of the side of your periph, you're going to react to take a look, and then Jericho just backdrops out of that. That is like how you do a distraction that doesn't make the person who got distracted look like a total idiot. It's something that
Why
would
did
actually
they get
happen.
Distracted by music?
Right. Yeah,
they
exactly.
stopped what they were doing and turned around and looked at the entryway.
Right. In this case, it was an imminent threat by somebody who was only 5 feet away.
Right.
Post-match, the Inner Circle are all in the ring celebrating. Tyson gets in there as well. Of course, he has to tear his shirt off, because if you're 54 years old and are built like Mike Tyson, I'd be walking around without a shirt all the time too. And Jericho says that Tyson is, he said ancillary member of the Inner Circle. I don't know why he didn't just say honorary, but same thing.
Yeah.
Next up, Alex Marvez tries to talk to the Elite. Don grabs the mic and kicks Alex away. He says that just when you think you've seen it all, the Bucks come back into the family fold. This is just the beginning. or just when you think it's the end, it is not. It is just the beginning. Kenny grabs the mic, says, everyone's been saying, Kenny, why did you change? Young Bucks, why did you change? We didn't change. We got sick of all you numbnuts fans wanting us to be just like you. But you know what? We're not just like you. We are going to be just like us, just like what we always were. And then that is, I don't know what he said. I wrote it completely wrong. Something along the lines of, that's where you'll find success and the gold will follow. Matt grabs the mic, says that they're the best in the business, and he puts all the tag teams on notice. Bucks fake out super kick the cameraman, and then Don Callis kicks the cameraman.
Yeah, and one thing that was confusing here is Doc Gallows was talking about the danglies.
Yeah, the balls. Nobody has the balls.
Ah, okay.
That's
okay.
That's what. You didn't get the euphemism. Got it.
Right. I was like, all right. Well, he's got like things in his beard that are dangling. The Bucks were wearing, some sort of weird headband. Like, I'm not sure what you mean by the danglies.
Yeah, if you watch enough BTE, there's Gallows and Anderson make a lot of dick jokes, so it clicked within 2 seconds for me. I'm like, the danglies. Oh, he's talking about the balls.
Okay.
Yeah,
got it.
So yeah, nobody has the balls. That's what he's saying. I thought this was a good promo. Kenny delivered a great, few sentences here. Just telling, I didn't change. This is how I am. This is how I actually am. And he's sick of the numbnuts fans wanting us to be just like you, and we're not. We're better than you. Basically, is what he said.
Yep. We're better than you, and you know it.
Yeah, and speaking of Kenny promo, if anybody has not watched BTE this week, I'd suggest at least watching the last 5 minutes. Kenny is backstage with the Bucks, and there's a good promo talk segment right there that is definitely worth checking out on BTE. The rest of the show was meh, but that last 5 minutes is definitely worth a watch. Right. There was a quick Thunder Rosa video. Basically, she says she's taking over the world and she wants the AEW championship and the NWA championship, basically calling out Serena Deeb and then whoever is going to be holding the AEW championship after next week. So she alluded to a match happening next week, though it hadn't even been announced yet on the show. But it was good to see, and we will see. Well, I might as well talk about it now. We're going to see Ty Conti versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship next week, and I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I didn't catch that she sort of, spoiled the announcement.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just sort of like one of those little oversights of, she announced a match in her promo that we've not actually announced on air.
Yeah, I don't even think she alluded specifically to them. I didn't rewatch it after the show, realizing that's what she was talking about. I think she said something along the lines of whoever's holding the championship. I think she might have talked to a few people, Britt Baker. She might have said some other people's names, Britt, Ty, or Shida, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those things. They do have a named show coming up in a few weeks anyway. Mm-hmm. So if she knows, like, I'm not, the number one challenger right now, by the time I do become the number one challenger, it's going to be a couple of weeks. So Shida might not be, so if she didn't actually, and again, I've not gone back to watch it either. Mm-hmm. But whether she, spoiled an announcement or not, I don't see it as a big deal.
Yeah.
In this circumstance, if it was a thing of where, she spoiled, say like a big huge announcement of the main event of Double or Nothing when it had not been mentioned
or
before. That would be a different
Yeah, well,
thing.
it would have been different if like Ty Conti wasn't already number one contender, and it's
for
not
like 4 straight weeks,
right? And there's not like a match to set up a number one contender. Like if Ty Conti needed to win her next match to become the challenger, and she spoiled it that way, that'd be a problem. But in this case, Ty Conti was already number one, so it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, I remember there was, and this was several years ago, where I think it was Kurt Angle cutting a promo on WWE, and he said something about a triple threat match coming up at a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And then whoever the commissioner was came out and said something about, such and so pay-per-view, it's going to be a triple threat match. You and this guy and that other guy. And he's like, yeah, I already know that. Like,
was that when he was the commissioner?
No.
Oh.
No, I think it's when Foley was the commissioner.
Oh, way back. I thought you're talking about Angle's most recent stint as the commissioner. He botched. He gave away so much crap on that. That was funny.
Yeah. But no, it was a thing of, like, he wasn't supposed to have said that line of the promo until after it was announced.
Yeah.
And, like, oh, yeah, that's a big giant botch.
All right. Next up, we had...
Good way to cover it.
Next up, we had Kris Statlander making her in-ring return versus Amber Nova. This was pretty much just a showcase to show that Kris Statlander is all put together and fine, and she finishes off with the Big Bang Theory. This match was fine, though Kris Statlander did whiff pretty badly on a kick. She missed by a quarter mile. But other than that, Kris Statlander's back. We'll see how she continues to do. She looks good. I have no idea how to say this without sounding petty, but she's lost weight. She's slimmed down some. I noticed that, and then JR said it, so I wasn't the only one who thought it. And she looks good.
Well, one thing that annoyed me before she went away with the injury is how JR would always talk about she's a big girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, she wasn't that big.
No, but she's tall. She's taller than most of the women's division.
Right.
That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, I know she's like, 6'12" or whatever it is. But, normally when I hear somebody talk about a female athlete being a big girl, or specifically a female wrestler being a big girl, I think of like Awesome Kong, Nia Jax, Nyla Rose. Like, those are big girls.
Yeah.
Kris Statlander is just like, again, like 6 foot something.
I don't think she's that tall, but yeah.
She's got to be like really close to 6 foot anyway. I know she's not 6'12".
She is.
That's ridiculous.
5'9".
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
But everybody else is like 5'2". So.
Yeah, but like, she's basically the same height as Trent and Chucky and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy and Chucky. I think Trent's like 6 something.
Yeah. But like, she's not what I would consider to be that big.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that just annoyed me when he would always talk about, like, oh, she's a big girl, and they would mention her weight, but they never mention that. Well, they do mention that Riho only weighs 90 pounds.
Right.
But they never mention Hikaru Shida's weight. They never mention Ty Conti. They never mention any other woman wrestler's weight unless they're talking about how big she is.
Unless they're really big or really small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just something that's kind of annoying. Like, with the men, a lot of times they will mention weights.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, do it consistently or don't do it at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in boxing, the women's weight, or MMA, the women's, they're fighting in a weight class, so we know how much they weigh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things.
So like, be consistent or just don't do it at all.
Yeah.
And you said like she missed a kick. That could just as easily have been Amber Nova not being in position.
Yeah. I can't remember. I just saw it happen. I didn't go back to see what happened, but
yeah,
she definitely missed by a mile. But Kris Statlander, like I said, looks good, and we'll see how it goes.
Didn't they call? You called it the Big Bang. I thought they called it the Supernova, but they could have just been doing that because Amber Nova.
Correct. Yes, it is normally called the Big Bang Theory, but they called it the Supernova because it was too Amber Nova. I think it was just a play on words on that one.
Okay, I didn't know if they, if she had completely renamed the move.
Yeah. The Bastard Driver, that's what it was, so then you can call that. Dasha is with Team Taz, and Dasha asks if Taz has heard back from Christian. He starts to talk, and then Ricky cuts in and says, we shouldn't even be waiting for a response. And then Taz tells Ricky to cool off and he should stay backstage because he's a little combustible. And then Brian Cage agrees and says, yeah, Ricky, you are a little combustible. It's a good idea that you stay backstage. And Taz is like, you stay backstage too. So, Hook and Hobbs and I are going to lock down Christian Cage tonight, essentially.
Yeah. And Ricky also mentioned about, we waited nearly a month for Hobbs to give us an answer. No offense, Hobbs. But we shouldn't be waiting any amount of time for Christian to give us an answer.
Well, that's funny because it's not even true, because we know that Hobbs was working with Team Taz the whole time. Until he officially turned, because Team Taz would always run down Hobbs, but they never actually touch him. He'd just run away.
Yeah.
So it took less time, but I think they forgot about that part. Anyways,
rewriting history.
Yeah, or forgetting how history actually went. Might not be rewriting. I think it's just forgetting in this case. So turmoil within Team Taz, and that plays right into the next segment. Tony is in the ring, and he introduces oh, wait a minute, it's not. It's Christian Cage. Yay! We get somebody else other than Sting. Christian Cage comes out, and he says, hey, look, as you can see, I'm in my gear. There's an open contract to fight me. And then he says, because, I'm here to outwork everybody. Taz interrupts, complains that he hasn't heard from Christian. Taz asks if he's in or out. Christian says that, I was going to do this backstage in private, like professional. But since you're here, he says, Team Taz has been a bit of a dumpster fire lately, and he didn't come here to AEW to help.
Hold on. You're missing the best part. Since you're here, and Taz, I'm glad you're standing on the top.
He didn't say that yet. He hadn't said that yet.
He hadn't said that yet.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, this was right around 9:30, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, this is just how well everything flowed. All right. And I'm thinking, Christian's going to have, a super short match here.
Right.
Because the way it was promoted made me think he was having a match, but it wasn't an actual match.
Yeah, it was advertised Christian Cage in action, open contract. So, it never got that far. But yes, you didn't get to that part yet. So he says,
okay.
He says, Team Taz has been a bit of a dumpster fire. I didn't come to AEW to help Taz's problems. He says, I came here to AEW to win championships. You want my answer? Fine. I'm glad you're standing on those 3 stairs up so I can say this to you face to face. My answer is no. And Taz says, you're a real shitbag. Here's the deal. If I was standing on my wallet, I'd be 10 feet over your big head. And Christian says, yeah, all that bingo hall money. And Taz is like, I got other money. And Taz says, I've never liked you. I've never liked your buddy that carried your ass. And then Taz keeps rambling, and Hobbs just slowly puts his hand over the mic and lowers Taz's hand. And Taz just keeps talking, even though the mic has been lowered away from his face. And then Hobbs slowly walks down to the ring, gets in the ring, and they're standing face to face, Christian and Hobbs. Hobbs takes a swing. Christian ducks it. Looks like he's gonna hit the kill switch, but Hook jumps up onto the ring apron, and Christian releases the hold, and then Hobbs just runs over Christian, throws him to the outside, throws him into the barricade a few times on the outside. Christian gets tossed up into the air, straight down onto the floor, and then gets his head smashed into the top of the ring steps, and Hobbs stands on his head for a minute, and then when he gets his foot up, Christian falls back down onto the floor, and Team Taz leaves Christian laying on the floor.
Yeah, and I think Taz legitimately got flustered when Christian said bingo hall money.
I think so too. I don't think he was expecting that line.
And Taz also said something about Christian having the nerve to wear my colors, as if Taz is the only one that can wear orange and black.
Right. And it was mostly black tights with some orange in the design on his pants. It's not like orange was the sole color on his pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is what it is. I thought this was fine. I am a fan of the meta stuff anyways. No, some people don't like the meta stuff, but I'm a big fan of the meta stuff.
Yeah, sometimes it's good, sometimes but I think everybody knew who Taz was talking about when he said your buddy that carried your ass for all those years. Because what was it, until like a month ago, Christian was still part of a podcast, the Edge and Christian podcast, where they talked about all of their stuff in WWE. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so as soon as, I guess it's like 2.5 years ago at this point. As soon as Edge re-signed, like, I'm like, oh man, the Edge and Christian podcast is going away. They didn't say why. I'm like, that was like one of the best wrestler podcasts, because the two of them, especially because, they've been friends since they were kids, which just adds that whole new dynamic that you can't get when you become friends as an adult. That just made the show awesome. And I was so bummed when it went away. And then, of course, Edge shows up at the Royal Rumble, and I'm like, well, no wonder that's why they had to stop the podcast.
Oh, I thought they were still doing the podcast as like a WWE product for a while.
Nope.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I was bummed.
Okay.
Anyways.
And remember when they used to be brothers, and then they were cousins, and then they were friends.
Yeah, they went through a whole lot. It's complicated.
Yeah, must have been a really small, like rural Canadian town that took after West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, if they were all those things at the same time.
Yeah.
All right.
My brother cousin.
My brother cousin. All right. Next up, they run down the card for next week. So they announced Shida versus Ty Conti for the title. And they do just a really quick 30-second video. It was probably less than that. It's probably 15 seconds. Just a couple words exchanged from the both of them. Nothing huge, but Ty Conti seems happy, grateful and happy that she's worked her way up. And she's actually been doing a really good job in the past year she's been with AEW. Super impressive to me. They announced Hobbs and Christian Cage for next week. Ricky Starks versus Hangman Page, and then Trent versus Penta. These 4 matches, I am looking forward to next week quite a lot. These should all be really good.
Yeah. And I'm taking a look to see if they've announced anything since the end of the show last night as well.
If you see that, cut in. We'll move on to the final match of the evening, and this is for the TNT Championship. It is a Falls Count Anywhere, no disqualifications match. Both Darby Allin and Matt Hardy came out by themselves. They had nobody as a second. Matt Hardy he had already brought a chair with him. He sticks it on the apron, and as soon as the bell rings, he bends over and grabs it. He hits Darby Allin with it midair, doing a springboard coffin drop. He just whacks him right in the back with the edge of the chair. And on those steel chairs at the hinge where the seat hinges back up and down, there's a little rivet that took a chunk of skin the size of a quarter out of Darby's back. His back was really chopped up by the end of this. He gets more chair shots to the back, to the stomach. Hardy just keeps beating on Darby. And of course, I tweeted right before this match start, is this going to be once again, Darby gets the crap beat out of him, hits a hope spot, and then gets the win? Darby got more offense in this match than he usually does. So that made me a little bit happy. But how this whole match went down was a giant cluster and a half. And that's the callback to, as you were talking about, the end of Jericho versus Dax Harwood. We have the same thing happens here. We have Hardy puts Darby's head in an open chair, and it looks like he's going to do a twist of fate with his head in the chair, but he ends up running into Hardy with the leg of the chair and then hits some shots of his own. And then the Hardy family office comes out and attacks Darby. Butcher throws a trash can right into Darby's face. Then Dark Order run out to attack the Hardy family office. Sting strolls out as well. He takes out Private Party with the bat. And then this is where I wrote, do we really need 2 faction brawls in one show? The answer is no, for those wondering. Darby is thrown, gets dropped through the trash can on the outside. They fight on the floor. Darby is hit with the trash can again. Darby is then thrown towards the ring stairs that had been moved from their normal position out towards what normally would be from the hard camera, the front right ring post. So they're moved over there. He gets Irish whipped toward them. So basically it takes out his legs, and then he ends up going ass over tea kettle, as they say, and lands back first on the top of the barricade on the other side of the ring stairs. So he just went like flying and did a flip into the ring stair, or into the barricade. Sting is fighting with Private Party in the ring. I don't know how the commercial breaks played out in this because I was watching on the fight feed. So Sting is fighting with Private Party in the ring. Scorpio Sky, who they had shown earlier watching the match from up in the balcony, have now made their way to the stage. It looked like they wanted to get into the ring to attack Sting. Lance Archer runs in and stops them, and they don't actually come to blows. He just steps in front of them, and they turn around and walk away. So Lance turns around, Sting's in the ring. Isaiah Cassidy is laid out in the ring, and Mark Quinn had rolled out to the outside, and Lance gets in to the ring, stares down Sting, and then turns to Isaiah Cassidy, hits Isaiah Cassidy with the blackout while staring at Sting the whole time. He picks up Isaiah Cassidy, throws him to the outside, goes to the outside, grabs Mark Quinn and Isaiah I carries them out of the arena. So I don't know if this is sending a message to Sting or this is I'm not going to let you hurt Sting because he said something nice about me last week. Not really sure on that. Did you pick up which way they're going on that?
No, and it was weird and just something else convoluted in an already convoluted match where there were several minutes of this match that we didn't see what was happening between the two people that were fighting the match because of everything else going on.
Yep. Eventually we have Sting is in the ring. Darby and Matt Hardy have fought their way up onto the stage. Sting throws Darby the bat, but before he can use it, Hardy hits a low blow. And then he does end up hitting the spot where he sticks Darby's head in an open chair and hits a twist of fate up on the stage. And he only gets a 2 count. So a twist of fate into an open chair only gets a 2 count. And then they fight their way back down the tunnel to the backstage. They kick Tony Khan out of his gorilla position spot, or I guess they actually call it the Dusty position in AEW for Dusty Rhodes. Clears it off, sets up a ladder, and then hits Darby in the head with a chair, or did he hit him in the head with it? Anyways, he sets him up on the table, and then hits a leg drop off the ladder through the table. And he was a little short on his landing, and he cracked down on his ass on the concrete while breaking the table. That Matt Hardy, that is. So that looked like that was not fun for him. Again.
Yeah, he already has a very pained looking walk anyway.
Yes. His gait does not look like it is pain-free.
it doesn't look normal.
No. Again, this only gets them a 2 count. They fight back out onto the stage. Matt Hardy wants to throw Darby Allin off the stage through the timekeeper's table on the floor, but Darby then returns the favor and kicks Hardy in the balls. He grabs the baseball bat that was on the floor. He hits Hardy in the stomach with it, hits him in the back, punches him in the face with it, then in the stomach again, and he chokes Matt Hardy with the bat and drags him over towards the announce table. Darby smashes a few monitors with the bat, clears off the announce table, puts Matt on the announce table, hits him in the face with the baseball bat, climbs up some stage rigging, and does a coffin drop through the announce table, gets the pinfall, and retains the TNT Championship.
Yeah.
What a cluster.
And as Darby was dragging Hardy across the stage, commentary pointed out, it looks like he's trying to choke him out, and maybe he wants Hardy to submit. Mm-hmm. So, at least they were building that up instead of just, he's dragging him over here because he needs him to be on this table for a spot.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it was nice because
normally they don't ever say that he needs him to be over here for a spot thing, but they normally don't ever acknowledge, this guy's being drug across the stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked Darby here. He hit him with the bat a few times. He's choking him with the bat to drag him by his neck, essentially, with the bat over to the table. And then when he lays him out on the table, he then does another punch to the face with the bat in his hand to incapacitate Matt. I always hate when they just kind of roll them onto a table and then take 20 minutes to get where they're going. It's just flop off the table. It takes no energy just to flop off the table. In this case, he punched Matt in the face with the bat in his hand before he did it relatively quickly, popping up the stage rigging and doing the coffin drop.
Yeah, and because of the way the setup is, they've got that step and repeat with the AEW and TNT logos on it, and he disappears behind that. It's where the fuck did he just go? What is he doing? Is he going to find a weapon back there? Like, is he looking for, like some barbed wire baseball bat and he's going to do something? And then, oh, wait, nope, he's climbing up the rigging. What's he do? Oh, and now he's coffin dropping.
Mm-hmm. The match itself, if you just stuck with Hardy and Allin, was good. If you got rid of the rest of the shenanigans that had happened around it.
Yeah, and without all of the other shenanigans taking place and taking up TV time, this match could have been 5 minutes shorter, probably.
Depending, or they could have figured out something else to do to fill that 5 minutes and make it good. Because I think the two of them could obviously have a good match if nobody got involved, and I thought this would have headed it in that direction. I'm sure they could have come up with something creative to get that extra 5 minutes in there, or whatever they were doing while the brawling was happening, because I wasn't really paying attention at that point.
Right. And I could really see this feud, and I don't know if this is going to be a Hardy Darby feud, but I could really see something happening between these two at the Hardy compound.
That could be interesting, yeah.
Just because of the two styles lends itself very well to all sorts of weird, crazy stuff in the Lake of Reincarnation, the Dome of Deletion, and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Davis agrees with you, says he thinks it went a little too long as well.
Yeah, and I was actually hoping, since it was a Falls Count Anywhere, I was hoping that it would either go into Jaguar Stadium or somehow they would just mysteriously teleport to the Hardy compound.
Yeah, I mean, he's moved away from the broken gimmick, so we'll see how that comes to play. I think they're going to try to stay away from the broken universe for a while.
Yeah, but still, like, you could have a mansion match.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's Big Money Matt. He's got this big, huge, giant mansion. And you know what? We're going to have a match in the middle of the mansion because I'm that rich. I don't care if you break my vase.
Yeah, I mean, we have probably, or at least everybody seems to be hoping, roughly 4.5 months left of time where a cinematic match will work, because there won't be full houses and fans and all that fun stuff. But once fans come back, they're gonna have trouble doing a match like that, when it's just gonna be the people in the arena who pay good money to see stuff happen in front of them watch a screen.
Right.
As much as I love it at home.
Yeah. And there was, like, the first time the Hardys did one of those cinematic things at the Hardy compound, wasn't it an entire episode of Impact?
No, it was like 30 minutes of the show.
Oh, okay. Didn't they do an entire episode of Impact, or am I misremembering that?
Yeah, I don't think they did an entire episode.
Okay.
They just did long segments. But again, I think that was when they were taping stuff anyways, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a couple other topics to talk about. I don't know if you want to get in. Do you want to talk about some free agent talk?
Yeah, let's talk free agents.
All right. So, for those,
I've got the list in front of me.
Do you have the full free agent, or just who is a free agent as of today? Well, in 90 days from today.
I've got from Fight TV, they tweeted out 53 minutes ago of the current list of talent that are being released from an organization in New York / Stamford, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. So I have a list that includes basically everybody who's currently free and not under a contract. So let's talk about the recent releases. I'm actually seeing a new release that just came out as of less than an hour, a little over an hour ago. Mojo Rawley has also been released from WWE.
Yeah, he's on this list. Top of the list, Samoa Joe.
Insane.
Yes. Yeah, like, how do you not have anything for Samoa Joe? But, of course, we're talking about the same company that back in the 90s decided that they wanted to put Macho Man Randy Savage on commentary, and then he had, like, another good 8 or 9 years in him when he went to WCW.
Right. Yeah.
So Samoa Joe, Mojo Rawley, Mickey James, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, so both of the Iconics, Chelsea Green, Bo Dallas. That's probably the least surprising name on this list. Wesley Blake, Tucker, and Kalisto.
Yeah, I think Kalisto is probably the least surprising. Bo Dallas, I don't know how they couldn't find something for him to do. I mean, his real life brother is the Fiend. They couldn't figure out something to do with the guy.
Yeah, but like, they never took Bo Dallas away from sort of the Bo Dallas character. At least with Bray Wyatt / the Fiend, they didn't say, all right, well, you were Husky Harris when you showed up. You're Husky Harris forever.
Yeah. But anyways, so the biggest names there, obviously, Samoa Joe. Completely insane that he was let go from the WWE. What is the story behind that? I am curious why they did that. Is he not medically cleared? He did have a concussion in February of 2020, and that's the last time he wrestled for WWE.
Yeah. I did see that Renee Paquette tweeted something about, injuries aside, something Joe. So, like, maybe Vince sees him as injury prone. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Samoa Joe, whether he goes to AEW, Impact, or Ring of Honor, he's going to be, a top guy wherever he goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know if Mickey James is going to wind up anywhere. The Iconics and Chelsea Green, they'll probably land safely on their feet. Mojo, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know if he wants to continue wrestling. I don't know if he has that drive to stay in wrestling, especially if remember, he is a WWE creation. He didn't come in as a wrestler.
Right. He's a former football player. Yeah. He's friends with Gronk. I don't know if you saw the tweet from Tucker after he got released, but he's standing on a golf course smoking a joint.
Yep. I did see that, actually.
And something about
freedom.
Can't wait to tell my story. Yeah, freedom, can't wait to tell my story.
Yeah. So a lot of them don't seem too broken up about getting released. But the Iconics, it would not surprise me if they pop up in AEW, though I think Impact would probably be a first stop if they don't go to AEW. I mean, Sean Spears is married to Peyton, I think, right?
I don't know.
I don't know which one. Either Peyton or Billy Kay. He's married to one of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them show up. But Samoa Joe, it would, I mean, go as long as he isn't actually injured and he can get medically cleared. AEW, I would say, would be stupid not to pick him up.
Yeah.
But of course, he could always go to New Japan. I would love to see him in a G1 if his body can handle it. He is 42 years old. He just turned 42 last month. So he's not a spring chicken, but you don't know.
Spears is married to Peyton Royce.
Yes, Jay just put that in the chat as well. So
her actual name is Cassandra McIntosh.
Yes. So outside of the new releases, Samoa Joe being the biggest one, I am looking over a list of other free agents we have right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of them pulled in at some point. The other big one, Andrade, was released a few weeks ago.
Right, and something interesting on that, because he's dating Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte apparently lobbied on his behalf.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I have read, WWE management said, okay, but you have to sit out Mania, thinking that she would not want to turn down the payday for Mania. And she said, yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's been a few different rumors. One, that she was medically disqualified because they thought she was pregnant. The other is she ended up legitimately getting COVID, and so did Andrade. So she had COVID anyways. So even her cardio might not even have been there anyways. But I think she was originally disqualified because they thought she was pregnant from a blood test, but then they figured out that, well, wait, she's not. And then the other is that she was taking a bullet for Andrade. The other thing with Andrade that is different than everybody else, he did not have a 90-day non-compete clause. So he could show up at any point. So curious on there. We have other big names that are available. Like I said, Andrade, Chris Hero is out there.
Also known as Cassius Ohno to WWE/NXT fans.
Davey Boy Smith Jr. is a free agent currently. Who else that would make sense? James Storm is a free agent, but I think he would not fit in well with AEW.
No, I could see him doing good back in Impact.
Yeah.
I'm also speaking of Impact. I'm also seeing that Bram is a free agent.
Other big ones, Lio Rush.
To my recollection, he started out as sort of a buddy / muscle for Nick Aldis back in Impact. So I don't know. Like some of these guys could wind up with NWA as well.
Lio Rush, he is a free agent. He's been doing some work with New Japan, but he is a free agent. I think he would fit in pretty well in AEW. It depends on his attitude, because I think his attitude has gotten him in trouble in the past.
Yep.
So it might be bring him in on a temporary basis, see how he plays out. Because that's actually one thing. Ivelisse was released from AEW because she had an attitude problem. That's been an ongoing storyline with her, which is unfortunate. We also have Matt Cross, aka Son of Havoc from Lucha Underground. He's a free agent currently. Michael Elgin is a free agent, though I think he's got some baggage to go with him. Mil Muertes is a free agent right now. Can we have him and Katrina come into AEW?
Mil Muertes also was Judas Messias in TNA with James Mitchell.
Back to Andrade. His valet, Selena Vega, also known as Tay Trinidad.
Yep. I'm
married
seeing
to Tommy
that
End slash Aleister Black.
Matt Cardona
Still a free agent.
is still a free agent. I thought I had heard that he signed with Impact recently, but apparently not. Looks like RVD is no longer with Impact either.
At least as current signed talent. Sean Davari, I wouldn't bring him in as a wrestler, but I would bring him in as a coach.
Yeah.
He would be a good guy for that. And then who else do we have on here? For the women's side, Sadie Gibbs is still a free agent, and Sarah Logan is a free agent. I don't know if Sarah wants to continue wrestling, though.
She's married to Ray Rowe, correct?
Correct.
And didn't she just have a kid not too long ago?
It's been almost a year at this point.
Oh, okay. And yeah, she's listed on Wikipedia, however, as having retired.
Yeah, that's what I thought. She might be retiring.
Announced that she would be stepping away from professional wrestling, quote, for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm. But she's out there, and she was good. And then we also have Sadie Gibbs is still out there as a free agent who could be worth a look.
Veda Scott is free agent.
I don't know why AEW doesn't pick her up as a full-time announcer, either on one of the darks or move. What I would do, I don't know if you were on when I said this, but I would move JR to doing sit-down interviews type of stuff and put Veda on Dynamite as a color commentator.
Yeah, she would be really good on commentary.
Yeah, obviously she's new, but she's young and she is a wrestler, so she knows what's going on. And I think over time she could be a very good commentator, and that would give it doesn't matter to me, but it does to some. It gives a female voice to the commentary, and I think she could be a really good female commentator. And not just thrown in there because she's a female, but in there because she's a good talker.
And other wrestlers who have been on at least one episode of AEW that I'm seeing here under women, Rachel Ellering, free agent.
Oh, I totally missed that. Yes, bring her into. That's what I would definitely add Rachel to AEW.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on from that, the rating for AEW Dynamite, 1.2 million viewers, up over 50%, up 78% from last week.
So let me ask this question, because I haven't been paying attention to all of the numbers. How does that compare to what I'll say the average combined viewership of AEW and NXT was for like the last month when they were on the same night?
It would be shy by about 250,000.
Okay, so basically the WWE faithful that don't acknowledge wrestling exists outside of the WWE universe, aside from the occasional, he's wrestled in one belts all over the world.
Right. A good hunk of them came over to watch Dynamite.
Yeah, so a good hunk are just people that like wrestling.
Mm-hmm. It's the biggest rating ever. It's the second biggest rating ever, except for the first show of the premiere of Dynamite. So huge jump. Like I said, up 78% from last week, but they were pretty low last week. But they are, they cracked 1 million by quite a lot. And there is some question: what are the plus 3-day, plus 7-day DVR numbers going to look like? Are people now watching it live who would normally watch it on DVR? Because they were regularly getting about 1.2 million for the plus 7 days. So maybe everybody's watching, or maybe they might even get a little bit more. I'm curious what the overall reason for this massive increase is, whether it's the lack of NXT competition or something else happened and everybody wanted to check out the show for some reason. I'm assuming it's the lack of NXT competition and people wanting to watch someone.
And it's really going to take a few weeks to really know what the consistent viewership is going to be when there's not head-to-head competition.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing, just looking at the percentage by demographic breakdown, the people over 50 was double what it was last week. And then women 18 to 49 up 78%, men 18 to 49 up 45%. And then overall people 18 to 34, 73%. Females 12 to 34 up 72%. Men, the same age group, 50%. And then people 25 to 54 up 50%. So that big up 108% of people over 50, which is NXT's bread and butter. They always won the over 50s. So the over 50s tuned in, it looks like.
Good. Yeah. Let's see if they stay around.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the biggest demographic of the 18 to 34, they got a 0.44, which is pushing up to Raw's numbers, because I think they hang around at a 0.5. So
yeah. Oh, and speaking of just like stepping backwards for a minute, speaking of free agents, apparently there was a tweet from Tony Khan this afternoon at Samoa Joe. You up?
Yeah, that was fake, unfortunately.
Oh, that's why I said apparently, because I didn't know for sure.
Yeah, Tony Khan hasn't actually tweeted in the past 23 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, he hasn't tweeted since AEW went off the air.
Well, darn.
Unfortunately, I mean, it would be great, but unfortunately, nope. You got played.
Yeah,
that's all right.
That happens when I don't, fact check on Twitter whether things are real or not.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on?
90% of the Ben Shapiro tweets that I see shared around are actually fake. He doesn't actually have a pair of AOC's high heels that were stolen from the January 6th Capitol riot.
Oh, good old fake news everywhere. Fake news is everywhere at this time. It's not even just like a right-wing, left-wing thing. It's just everybody puts out fake news, regardless.
Yeah. But sometimes satire is good. That's why for all of my wrestling news, I go to Kayfabe News, because they would never lie.
This was just posted 12 minutes ago. Taylor Wilde is back, returning to Impact. For those who care.
She was one of the beautiful people, correct?
Was she part of the beautiful people?
I thought she was.
She wasn't early on, and that's the only time I watched TNA, when it was originally just Velvet Sky and Madison Rayne and Billy Gunn. I haven't watched since that version of the beautiful people.
Oh no, she had a feud against the beautiful people.
Okay. Yeah, she was one half of the first ever tag team champions.
Yeah, I remembered that there was a connection between her and the beautiful people. I was just incorrect on what the connection was. So quick update on Darryl's health, heart surgery is scheduled for May 6th, the day after Blood and Guts.
Hell, at least you get to see Blood and Guts before you go under. Though you won't be able to eat anything while you're watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can eat no food after midnight.
Yep. All right. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it up here? Man, we went an hour and 45 minutes. So.
Woohoo! Nope. But Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, last night at 9:40 p.m. did tweet out bingo hall money with a little money bag symbol and hashtag AEW Dynamite.
All right. So thanks everybody for watching and listening to That's Wrestling. If you're listening to this as a podcast, head over to the YouTube or Twitch and follow us on those platforms because we do this show live. Twitch notifies you for anybody that you're following when they're going live. And for YouTube, if you hit the bell notification, it will let you know as soon as we schedule a live stream so you get to know ahead of time. We tend to do AEW Dynamite reviews on Thursday evenings, sometimes usually starting at 6 or 7 o'clock. It depends, though. Caleb just moved time zones, I think. So we will have to figure that out because I'm not sure what time he will be good. It probably won't be 6 anymore. It'll probably go back to 7, maybe even 8 o'clock, but we'll figure that out. Follow us on Twitter at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1. Hang out in our Discord. Link is in the show notes for that. Comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to Eric at that'swrestling.com. You can also snag the RSS feed at that'swrestling.com as well. And head over to your favorite podcast app of choice. Drop us a review. If you're watching a video, hit the like button and all that good stuff. So for Darryl W. Perry, my name is Eric LaRoche, and you have been watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.